Hey you guys, what's going on? I just ran into a story and I'm really saddened by it. And these are times where I wish I had more than like 1 million subscribers, because I would have them bombard Oklahoma's governor. There's a story about this guy. His name is Julius Jones. And Julius Jones has two days, you guys, to live. And I'm going to read why. Oklahoma is set to carry out an execution on Thursday despite the parole board telling them not to do it 2 times. Dozens of supporters of Oklahoma death row inmate Julius Jones have spent days waiting in the hallway outside of Governor Kevin Stitts' office at the Oklahoma State Capitol in a last-minute ditch effort to save Jones's life. Among the crowd is Jones's mother, Madeline Davis Jones, his sister, Antoinette Jones, and his lifelong best friend, Jimmy Lawson. Okay, unfortunately today, the governor office rejected their request to meet with the governor. So now we have to sit on pins and needles, Lawson told Vice News on Monday, adding they plan to stay there as long as it takes. It might not be very long. Jones is scheduled to be executed by lethal injection on Thursday. And today is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Wow. Earlier this month, the state's pardon and parole board recommended a second time by 3-1 majority that Jones' execution should be halted, and asked Governor Stitts to commute his death row sentence to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. Now, the fate of Jones rests in the hands of Oklahoma governor, who hasn't announced a decision yet. So this guy is pussyfooting along and he's not taking it serious. Governor Stitt has met with all the involved parties except for the Jones family, and a move that led to Jones supporters demanding an audience with him on Monday to no avail. That's my crazy dog. I don't know what she's doing. Jones supporters have held several vigils, protests, and rallies in the days and weeks leading up to this moment. In an 11th hour plea, Davis Jones, known as Mama Jones, recorded a video for the governor since he would not meet with her in person. And the video says, "Please send my baby home." She said, "He is innocent, and please send him home. In Jesus' name I ask you. Thank you." There is a video on Twitter, but I don't know if the governor looked at it. He probably overlooked it, trying to please other people and not really wanted to look further into it, because he's probably trying to come up for some type of election or something. Let me continue. Jones, a black man, has spent nearly 2 decades on death row in Oklahoma for the 1999 murder of a white businessman, Paul Howell. He has always maintained his innocence, claiming he was framed by his co-suspect, who received a plea bargain in return for his testimony that placed Jones as the perpetrator. Jones testified that he was at home that night with his family and did not even witness the crime he was convicted of committing. And a lot of people be like, yeah, that's what they all say. But check this out. Our family knows that Julius Jones did not commit this murder, because Julius was at home with us at the time of the murder. His mother said in the news release in 2020, "We were at home playing board games and eating spaghetti. The judge and jury that convicted and sentenced my son to die never heard that we were having a family game night." When Jones was charged with murder, he faced a 12-person jury with only one black person. One juror actually used racial slurs and threatening language in the jury room. Jones' arresting officer also allegedly used a racial slur when confronting him. On top of the racial bias, Jones' own state It's small writing. State appointed defense attorney says his legal team failed to defend him adequately. Advocates also say the evidence never stacked up. The case against Jones was largely based on informant testimony, but he didn't match the description of the killer, you guys. He didn't match the description, okay? Two cellmates of Jones's co-defendant. Now this is the co-defendant, Christopher Jordan, the one that lied and got a lighter sentence, have come forward claiming Jordan had admitted committing the crime to them. In one letter sent to Jones's legal team, one cellmate of Jordan wrote that he said, my co-defendant is on death row behind a murder I committed. Wow. In 2004, another former cellmate of Jordan stated in an affidavit that Jordan had wrapped the gun used to commit the murder in his case in a bandana and hidden it in Julius Jones's house. Regarding the murder case, Jordan stated to me, Julius didn't do it and Julius wasn't there. Jones' execution is set to go ahead despite the state's October execution of John Marion Grant, which may consider to be botched. Grant convulsed about a dozen times and regurgitated following the injection of whatever medication they used, before passing away 12 minutes later. His execution was the first carried out by Oklahoma after a 6-year moratorium on capital punishment due to a series of flawed convictions. So it sounds like Julius Jones have a flawed conviction. If this is true, that this guy wasn't there, he doesn't fit the description, then they need to really go back and redo this whole case all over again, despite how the family feel. If this is not the guy that actually did this murder, then the family have to suck it up and know that they got the wrong person. The state insists Grant's execution was carried out correctly. Several lawmakers from Oklahoma have joined calls for Jones to be granted clemency. The last thing the state should be doing is taking the life of someone who may be innocent, said Oklahoma State Representative Gary Mitz, a Republican, in a press release sent to Vice News. There is too much doubt here, especially given that Julius Jones' co-defendant has confessed to being the real murderer. Fellow Republican Representative John Talley also spoke out against executing Jones. If we believe as conservatives in law and order in the criminal justice system, then we have to make sure the system is getting it right, Talley said. The pardon and parole board spent several hours looking at the case during 2 separate hearings and determined that it may not have. Okay? We should not execute a man in that context. And so everybody else is looking at it, they're going over information, and they're seeing that there's no possible way that this guy did this murder, because you have a person that, one, does not fit the description. Two, the guy committed the murder. He confessed to 2 different people. Sometimes when you do something, you get in jail and you start flapping your lips. This happens all the time. So this reminds me of Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton executed a guy. The guy actually, for some reason, he shot and killed a policeman, but then he talked to his family and he felt really bad about shooting this policeman. The policeman died. He felt really, really bad. So he turned the gun on himself and shot himself in the head. And I guess it's called a lobotomy or something like that. The guy's mental status was so poor, he sounded like he was a 3-year-old child. But so that Clinton can be elected, he chose to execute the guy anyway, when everybody was telling him, Clinton, don't execute him. His punishment is he blew his brains out. He doesn't even know why he did it. And I understand, yes, he did this crime, but how can you execute somebody that shot themselves in the head and don't comprehend what they did? That would be, to me, a botched execution, because I want you to know why you're being executed, what you did, why this is happening. I don't want someone that is gone, that shot themselves in the head and is totally gone. I don't want that. So you guys, I know, like I said in the beginning, I wish I had millions of followers, thousands of followers. I would have you guys bombard Oklahoma and just set the record straight. I would have you guys just going nuts on this, because this is somebody's life that's being taken away from them. And I pray that at one point somebody will come forward and do something against this governor. If he doesn't want to listen, he could be fired too. And I pray that if he does execute this man, knowing that there is evidence that this man didn't do anything, I pray that he takes the place of this young man and spend the rest of his life in prison, because you know to do right but you want to do wrong. So you guys, I'm very touchy when it comes to people being innocently accused and people getting killed for no reason. So I know I chose the wrong word, executed, excuse me. So you guys, until next video, you know, I ask that you hit that like button, post notification, and that subscribe button, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. All right, stay safe.